Hi there, and welcome to Apple World. So it appears as though we're in the period of celebs emerging to uncover the most profound, shadiest, and nastiest pieces of the business, and truly, I'm hanging around for it, particularly since there are so many CBs like Lisa Nicole Carson who merited equity for how the business treated her. She just joined the extremely extensive rundown of celebs who are at last remaining on business and talking their reality. It has been north of a long time since Lisa Nicole Carson got the boot from Hollywood, and presently she's spilling all the tea on the contorted, wrecked side of the business that demolished her profession and her life. Lisa isn't keeping down since she's carrying the receipts to show exactly how severely the hotshots in Hollywood treated her and how they utilized the media to drag her through the mud just since she was not the same as what Hollywood considered valuable. However, here's the genuine inquiry: for what reason did Hollywood have such a lot of disdain for herself, and why, for what reason, did the business turn on her out of nowhere and afterward boycott her for good? Yet I had an episode in New York at an inn, and it got spilled out to the press that was like simply unwinding Hollywood is this insane, poisonous wilderness where stars are bitten up and spat out without even batting an eye, and there's been no deficiency of harrowing tales about entertainers and vocalists getting dealt with like junk out of the blue. Yet one of the most awful cases must be Lisa Nicole Carson. Young lady, they did her filthy like on an entire another level, and the business essentially destroyed her life. Now, Lisa was no joking matter in Hollywood some time ago. While she wasn't precisely an elite hotshot, she had a strong vocation, which is beyond what a ton of people can say. She began going about as a youngster and truly hit her sweet spot in her 20s, scoring jobs in hit shows like Ally McBeal Emergency Room. From there, the sky is the limit, and it was since simply her ability that prevailed upon individuals. It was her appeal and that irresistible character of hers. I simply need to set aside some margin to remove my cap, since I've been guided remove my hat or a cap, and to show America that this is no wind around, so kindly quit thinking of me. The letters inquiring as to whether this is go on feel. However, there's a piece here. No, it is. She gobbled up her supporting job so seriously that fans had certainty that she would have been in the business for quite a while and go on to have a gigantically fruitful profession. Sadly, circumstances didn't exactly turn out for her that way, since her vocation failed not long after it exploded by report. And I want to add, this particular one is recently claimed and has never been demonstrated. However, her profession began to self-destruct when a film chief constrained her to play out some disturbing demonstrations with a canine, promising her a film job in return. As per a visually impaired thing suppose, Edley, she played out an unseemly demonstration with a canine for a film job. The chief actually didn't give her the part. They essentially giggled at her after she did it. Then she lost it, supposedly on the off chance that this is valid. Lisa got directly upset up by the chief. I don't think he had any expectation on giving her that job, and his arrangement was to humiliate her straightforward. The situation was an all-out arrangement, and he played her like a fiddle. Expression of the obscure remove spread like quickly around Hollywood, and it sort of placed a gouge in Lisa's rep, both in the business and with her fans. Currently, like I said, I can't say without a doubt on the off chance that this story is gospel truth or simply noise yet. The tales were out there, and they destroyed her standing, despite the fact that there wasn't the slightest bit of verification that she did anything wrong. Yet here's where things truly went downhill. Individuals began treating her distinctively after that entire wreck. However, that was only a glimpse of something larger. Her psychological wellness experienced a plunge, and she began giving indications of bipolar issues. She went through a line of mental meltdowns that exacerbated the situation for her profession. Furthermore, her prosperity back in the last part of the 90s and 2000s, I was having a progression of mental meltdowns. I had figured out how to stay quiet about it for some time. Yet I understood what we know now about bipolar confusion. It tends to be an extremely troubling condition to manage, and it deteriorates when you're managing this in the business before a large number of individuals, and the business just exacerbated it for Lisa by distancing her and removing her. As per reports, it was a maker who originally brought up to Lisa that she may be managing bipolar turmoil, and this was a very long time before it reached the place where she was having a public breakdown in a meeting she did with Substance magazine. Lisa uncovered how a maker in the show Emergency Room perceived her cheerful moods as being something other than a cordial and blissful disposition. She said, "My cheerful minutes seemed to be another thing" to one of the makers in the trauma center. He had a family background of bipolar issues. Furthermore, I figured I may be showing a portion of the side effects. I didn't have a clue or how it could concern me. so I only contended with my life. Yet she would not trust him and was willfully ignorant that she had bipolar turmoil. That immediately changed when she had a maniacal episode under a year after the fact, she said. A year after the fact, I was in New York City finding friends and family when I suddenly threw a tantrum in my lodging, shouting, tossing things, crying, and raising sufficient damnation that the staff called a rescue vehicle. I turned out to be hospitalized for half a month, and a specialist gave a conclusion bipolar confusion. Yet even with that she went into forswearing, and would not seek treatment or take drugs to control what is happening, and it wasn't well before things went crazy again. Endeavors to treat me, however. I was in finished disavowal about having sickness, assuming you are in the tosses of a mental meltdown or episode. They can become life or, on the other hand, passing circumstances quite effectively so that. Angst recently continued to twisting for herself, and those insane episodes of hers began coming out more grounded and more successive. She figured out how to stay quiet about a large portion of them, yet 2 or 3 years after that, she had this enormous, legendary implosion that just couldn't be hidden where no one will think to look, and unfortunate for her, the media found out about it, and you know how the newspaper used to cherish a decent embarrassment once upon a time, and simply milk it dry at wet. As terrible to the point that whenever constrained her to awaken, lastly acknowledged the help that had been proposed to her, she said it was the nearest everything came to falling for me, that is the very thing denoted the start of the finish of the sickness for me. I concluded that whatever was happening in my life needed to come in just short of the leader I needed to take my drug and battle this with all that I am. That was a significant reminder for her. She understood she expected to start acting responsibly, so she dived in and began treatment and prescriptions to get herself in the groove again. The media bet everything with the titles about her breakdown. Yet she was resolved not to give that deaf her she checked herself access to a little, and when she got out she attempted to get her vocation in the groove again, walking right back onto the arrangement of Ally McBeal where she had been shooting before she disappeared for treatment. Yet things proceeded and she got terminated from the show set. He said after being released, I got to Los Angeles and went once again to work on Ally McBeal, feeling more in charge. Everyone on the show was magnificent to me. Yet my agreement wasn't reestablished for the last season. No one gave me a clarification except for I expected it had to do with what had happened. I was crushed. She regarded herself as unemployed, and despite the fact that she made a solid attempt and put her everything into it, she couldn't get one more acting gig in the long run. She needed to get together and leave LA, since she acknowledged that it was done working and things could at absolutely no point ever go back in the future. What compelled things considerably harder for her was that her public rep endured such a serious shot thanks to her emotional wellness battles, and the media didn't help her. Possibly, she put it best in a meeting where she said, once my episode became public, I was destroyed in the press, which truly hurt. Up to that point I carried on with an enchanted existence in the entertainment business. An insider spilled the tea that her sporadic conduct wasn't exclusively down to her emotional wellness issues, in light of the fact that supposedly she was likewise fiddling with some unlawful substance. One source said Lisa was terminated by both Ally McCall and because of her whimsical way of behaving, which was a mix of bipolar confusion at trauma center. They killed off her personality. Carla, sincerely, it was simply lamentable, and even right up until now, Lisa feels like Hollywood, her representatives, and her chief completely failed when it came to safeguarding her from the aftermath of her emotional wellness battles, despite the fact that none of it was her shortcoming. She feels like they hung her out to dry, and that is simply not right. It resembles they betrayed her. Subscribe Apple World for more videos.